Hello and welcome to a special episode of Two Better Halves, Two Critical Halves, where we take something we've watched, read, experienced recently, and we review it to let you know if you should check it out or not. With me, as always, is my better half, Sarah.
Howdy.
And with her, as always, is her better half, Linton.
Howdy.
Did you say hottie or howdy?
Howdy.
Oh, hottie. And today we're talking about the Oscar-nominated, Internet Rumble-donated, People Make It Deepinated movie known as Joker.
Yes, so it was actually Oscar-winning. So
Well, it was also nominated. You can't win if you don't
well,
nominate.
yes, but I'm just saying it did actually win at least one Oscar. So the description of this movie says, forever alone in a crowd, failed comedian Arthur Fleck seeks connection as he walks the streets of Gotham City. Arthur wears two masks, the one he paints for his day job as a clown and the guise he projects in a futile attempt to feel like he's part of the world around him. Isolated, bullied, and disregarded by society, Fleck begins a slow descent into madness as he transforms into a criminal mastermind known as the Joker. This movie came out October 4th of 2019, and the budget for it was 55 to 70 million. So a little bit of a hefty budget, but below what some of those blockbusters are. But it brought in over $1 billion.
Jeez Louise.
So it definitely did very well. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 68% though, so not the greatest score.
A better score than I've ever gotten from Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, fair enough.
And as always, in our Two Critical Halves, we review things on a 1 to 7 scale. That is the Linton's speciality. 7 being the closest to what we consider our favorite, most perfect movie, which I have mentioned are The Road to El Dorado and The Return of the King.
And I mentioned mine was Breakfast Club.
And then our least favorite movie, which I mentioned was I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry.
And I mentioned was Boxing Helena.
And somewhere in between there, we'll come up with our one-numbered, potentially a half, never quartered review of, if you should check it out, we watched this on Vudu for $6, I think.
It was
$5.99.
$6. Yep.
So it is there. It's probably on Prime Video, all those other delicious, delicious places. It's probably on the internet illegally, but don't check it out there. You may have already seen it in theaters, but we're just helping you out to let you know if you should watch it based on these two people whose opinions you don't care about.
Well, they must care a little because they're listening.
They are good friends. That's why they're listening. Or they are strangers who stumbled upon a rabbit hole and ended up trying to find videos of half of people and accidentally found a podcast called Two Better Halves.
Well, I'm sure they find it quite delightful.
To be cut in half?
No, to be listening to us.
I doubt it. All right, so I want to get some context from you, Mrs. Wife of Mine.
Yes.
What did you know, because I know you're not huge into comic books, I know you're not huge into superhero movies. What did you know about the Joker or remember about the Joker before you watched this movie?
So I am not familiar with the comic books really at all. I read the one comic with the Joker, The Laughing Game, The Killing Game, something like that.
The Killing Joke.
The Killing Joke, that one. Yes, that's the one. That's the only one I've ever read. So all of my knowledge of the Joker really comes from the movies, which I'm sure is not completely accurate. But they all definitely show, as most of the Batman villains do, a normal guy who somehow has some sort of catastrophic thing happen to him that then catapults him into this sort of life of crime. That's what happens to the majority of them, at least from my recollection.
In what you have seen, what Joker stands out to you the most? I'm assuming probably Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson probably equally.
Oh, okay.
That was what my first exposure when because I would have been in living with my parents when the first Batman movie came out, and it was one that we definitely went and saw in the theater, and it was a big deal, and we talked about it. So that one sticks in my mind pretty heavily. But Heath Ledger is pretty amazing as an actor, in my opinion. So that one also definitely sticks out for me.
If this movie tackles big time, that's like the whole thing, is it tackles mental health issues. If you want to hear us talk a lot about mental health issues, I'm not going to dive into it too much during my portion of this review, because we have a whole podcast about it. It is our episode Depression, episode 3.
I believe it's 3.
Episode 3. So if you want to hear us talk a lot more about that, you can hear us talk about it at Depression. You can hear about suicides and meticides and pesticides. So my grandpa always told me.
All the sides.
All the sides. Can I get a side of potatoes?
No, you cannot. You're diabetic.
I can't eat potatoes.
No.
Wow. This is what it's like being married. So what do you want to start with? Bad? Good?
Let's start with the good.
Oh, let's start with the good. Whenever you're ready to hit that sweet-ass timer.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Well, the good. He's a good actor.
He is absolutely a good actor, and he won the Oscar for this role. So clearly, everyone else agrees that he is a good actor.
I mean, everybody. I mean, I don't think anyone is going to be interested in that opinion.
No, and I don't think that that's a surprising opinion at all.
No, he was good at it.
Yeah.
And the mom, what's the mom?
Yeah, the lady from 6 Feet Under, and American Horror Story, Frances
Drake.
I think it's Frances something.
Frances
Connery.
Something. She's great.
Connolly.
She's
something
awesome.
like that. Yes, she does a great job. But again, not surprising. She's always great in everything.
Robert De Niro is really good.
Yeah, he was fine.
I mean, for what he did.
Yeah.
So really good acting.
Yes, I would say really good acting overall. The other thing that I really liked about it, I thought that I think it's cinematography. It was very prettily shot.
Prettily.
And the thing is that it was prettily shot to make it look really grimy and grungy and dark and seedy, and but it captured like the way that they lit things, the angles that they chose to use. It really gave that vibe of just like the depression of the situation, how sad his life was, how sad the situation was, how sad the part of the city that he was living in, why people would be upset with their situation and want to push back. Like there was just trash all over the streets, and everything was dark, and there was graffiti, and he had to walk up like a bajillion stairs to get anywhere. It just had that really dark feel that I think contributed a lot to the rest of the story.
Agreed. Definitely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movie. I would day one buy a comic book set in that specific version of it. Like the Spider-Man PS4 game put out a comic book late last year or early this year based on the Spider-Man video game. So far, it's pretty much followed the story really, really closely, but just to have that in comic book form, if you could have, I would take a comic that was a prequel to that world that they established to find out. I mean, it wouldn't even be about Batman, obviously, because Batman's a little boy, but about how the city gets into that state. Mm-hmm. I would love a comic book that fills that in. I mean, you could have a vigilante there who fails terribly. You could follow the police officers. I mean, I would love to get in that world more. Great world building. I'm someone who has read. I haven't read all the comics. I've read a lot of the comics. A lot of them. I know the Joker from all the animated series. I am a huge DC animated series fan. Seen all the movies, all the animated movies, all the live action movies. There are so many interpretations of Gotham and so many interpretations of Joker. There's not a official one. I mean, if it comes out with the DC tag, it is canon. That's how it works. You're just supposed to... I mean, that's how comic books have always been, where you just take what you're given. You can be given little one-arc stories. You can be given an animated movie where Joker gets killed by Batman. Yeah, I mean, it all happens. You don't have to bring it up again later. And I thought that this Gotham and that Joker and the little Batman that he runs into and the dad, all that, great. Well, great little world setting.
And that's what I really liked about this in particular is I really like this in stories in general when you see it from the other person's point of view. It's a well-known story. You have a lot of familiarity with what's going to happen, but now you're seeing it from not Batman's point of view, but from the other point of view. And in particular when it comes to Batman's father and his perception of him, and not, in all the Batman movies, he's this great guy and everything's so wonderful and he was so altruistic and he was always giving back to the community. And this movie portrays it a little bit differently, and that's how real life is, right? For the most part, no one is the bad guy in their own story, and so you are perceiving the world through a slightly different lens, but it's the same basic story, and I really like that change in perception.
And I especially like the Thomas Wayne stuff, because I think if you would have flipped it and you said, all right, now let's see the story from Thomas Wayne's point of view, it's not going to seem like a rich old white guy who's just being a jerk to everybody. It's going to seem like a guy trying to take care of his family and take care of his city, and he's having to deal with people who are making up stories about making babies with them and are cornering him in bathrooms and stuff. I mean, again, I would love a comic book that follows him. I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it's the different point of view that helps you understand that everybody's story is going to be a little bit biased towards themselves, and you're prone to believe what you want to believe that best fits with your narrative. And I think this movie did that really well.
Absolutely. I know that we're about to be out of time. There we go. I had another sentence to say, but when I saw there were 3 seconds left, I went, all right, cool. So, all right. That's the stuff we liked about it, or at least how much we could get in 5 minutes. That's the first half. This is the second half. 2 better halves. Get it? All right.
That laugh.
Well, I think there are people who don't get the name. All right. Anyways, and then since we're married, she's my better half, I'm her better half, so there's 2 better halves. It's really genius.
There's lots of layers.
My wife came up with the name. Fantastic. All right. So whenever you would like to start the timer for 2 critical halves, the stuff we didn't like about the movie Joker, I hope this doesn't trigger anyone. Make you kill us at a talk show.
Okay. And go.
Okay.
Oh, it sounds like you got a lot there. That was a loaded sigh.
I mean, there are 2 things I didn't like about it. But really, there were 2 things I didn't like about it. The first one is that when I talk about how much I like the world that I want in a comic book, it also is a negative because I needed more filler as to why everything was so bad. It did not seem reasonable that 3 unnamed characters that were attached to Wayne Enterprises in a way that's not really specific, that we've never established, they get killed on a train by our new Joker. And that causes the riot of the century where everyone's wearing Joker masks and everyone's taking over the city based on the fact that that one crime happens and all they know about it is someone in a clown mask killed these 3 Wayne Enterprise employees and we don't know who did it. I needed a lot more than that for me to find it reasonable that now the entire city is in chaos and Joker is now an icon of it.
So I understand that point of view. I'm okay with stories where they don't tell me everything. I'm okay with coming in at the middle of the story. I'm okay with the story ending and me not knowing what happens next. Like that doesn't bother me so much. Clearly there was a lot of social angst that was piling up, and the city was ripe for something, and they set that up from the very beginning with the fact that all the trash is piled up and it's not getting cleared away. Like, they start to set that up. We know there's angst. We don't know why. And I get your point. I do. But that particularly didn't bother me so much because I knew that I was coming in the middle of the story.
But they set it up as these are things that are annoyances, and these people are sad about it. You gotta have a way to go from these people are annoyed by the state of this city to Joker is now the criminal. He is now the prince of crime icon. And I don't think 3 unnamed characters getting killed in a subway, in a seedy little subway in the dark, was enough. Like, I don't even get it. I don't get why those 3 people dying made that happen. Just because they were rich white kids who had good jobs they were jerks. I mean, it's supposed to be the city of crime where all this bad stuff happens. Like you were saying, they already set it up as that. I mean, I can't imagine that people being killed is that new to the whole situation. These 3 people dying was not enough for that to happen. I think after he kills the Robert De Niro character, that should have been what sets it all off.
And I agree. I think that that's the much more dramatic point where I could see there be much more of a rallying cry. So I think that that's more of my issue. It's not that it wasn't so well explained. It's not that I care why the social unrest was happening or what had led up to that point. But I do feel like the initial kill, and I know they want to escalate it, so I get that from a storytelling perspective as well, is that we start with something small and that escalates into something much bigger and more dramatic. And this whole movie, he's like obsessed with this guy, and he watches the show with his mom, and he dreams about being on it, and he fantasizes about being on it. So that becomes the escalation. I don't think that could be the first kill, but I do agree that the first kill would have been more impactful for my understanding of him as a character if I had felt a better connection to his motivation, because I still just felt like it's wrong to kill people and it wasn't appropriate to kill them. I would have appreciated a little more gray where maybe I understood his side a little bit better. And while I still understood that killing was wrong, I felt a little bit more like but he's kind of justified. And I didn't really feel that.
And it's not like all the people who end up going crazy in the city and praising Joker, they didn't know that the three rich white boys were trying to rape a girl or anything. I mean, none of that's known to these people. That's my first big complaint.
No, I can concede that. I think that to build the hoopla around the Joker, around that as the first big step, felt like a misstep.
Do you have another one, or do you want me to go with my last one?
You can go ahead and go with your last one.
My other one was, I thought the dealing of him being mentally ill came across too much like there was a writer behind it. I don't feel like the Joker would have written things in his little journal like, oh, the worst thing about having mental illness is everyone expects you not to. That comes across as such a Tumblr post.
And so you can identify with that more than me, because I'm not someone who has suffered from any kind of mental illness. So it's a little bit harder for me to know what is accurate or inaccurate. But I guess that brings up the point then that clearly the writer hadn't experienced it either and was sort of writing from a place of...
And maybe he has, because the internet loves it. They think that like that. I've seen that quote. So many people posting it like, wow, that's so inspirational. Yeah, it is inspirational. But come on, the Joker shouldn't be saying it.
Okay, the timer just ended, but it didn't go off. I'm not sure why.
Well, okay, we can stop there then.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Don't apologize. I can be grumpy about the over-the-top sappy writing. Okay, so those are the two things I didn't like about it. Again, 5 minutes. It wasn't really enough time to hop into a lot more of it, but this is a test run to see if you guys even care. Let us know if you'd like it to be longer, if you'd like it to be shorter. If you don't care at all, we'll know because you don't ever tell us anything. But let us know. Now we're going to give you our rating between 1 and 7. Wifey. The wife. The wifeinator.
Yes. So in terms of fact that it's a movie that I would definitely watch again, I feel like there's maybe some things that in the first watching I didn't necessarily appreciate that I would appreciate more in a second run. And also the fact that acting really sells a movie for me, and I really, really enjoyed some of the subtle nuances that several of the actors were able to put into their characters. So I would definitely rewatch. So that makes it better than average to me. I would give it a 5.
Wow. Okay. Because when I review things, I never go with best. I don't care about what is considered best. The things best for you and the things best cinematically are not my favorite. I think most of the movies people consider the best of all time, like the experts, are probably really boring. If you are really into cinematography and settings and acting, I mean, the acting in this is unbelievable. So I would say watch it once. Absolutely. Then I have no desire to watch it again. And a movie to be average good for me, I would want to watch it again. And I don't want to watch this again. I mean, you do, and that surprises me. So if you watch it again, I'll be behind you, peeking up over my Nintendo Switch going, what's going on? But I don't want to watch it again. But you should watch it once. So that makes it hard to...
Yeah, it does.
But as a movie, for me personally, I'd say watch it, but I give it a 3.
Gosh, we just don't agree on movies at all.
I know, baby. Well, next episode, we'll do a video game.
Sounds good.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye.